Welcome to the National Institute of Food and Agricultural's Mentoring at Risk and Rural Youth Technical Assistance webinar. Thank you so much for joining us today. You will see and hear us refer to this program by the acronym MARRY, M-A-R-R-Y, throughout this webinar. We are asked that you will mute your microphone throughout the presentation. This presentation is being recorded and will be posted on NIFA, NIFA.USDA.gov for any time for your viewing. Questions can be submitted through the Zoom Q&A feature. Any questions submitted that are not answered during the course of the presentation will be answered at the end of the webinar. USDA is happy to field any general high-level inquiries that applicants may have regarding the application process. However, USDA staff is unable to offer public guidance on how to craft, structure, or write one's proposal. USDA is an equal opportunity provider, employer, and lender. This slide contains contact information for individuals with disabilities to request reasonable accommodations. Additionally, language access services will be provided to limited English proficient individuals upon request. Anyone wishing to profile a program discrimination complaint can utilize the phone number, fax number, or postal mailing address listed on this slide. Hi, I am Bonita Williams with NIFA's Division of Youth and 4-H and the National Program Leader for MARRY. I will be presenting today along with Andrea Wakira and Janaya Lee. Andrea works for NIFA as a program specialist, and Janaya is an 1890 scholar intern, both in the Division of Youth and 4-H. Today's presentation will be divided into 6 sections. Part 1 is an overview of our agency, the National Institute of Food and Agriculture. You will see and hear us refer to our agency as NIFA throughout this webinar. Part 2 is an overview of the MARRY program. Part 3 will cover details about the request for applications referred to by the acronym RFA. Part 4 reviews the proposal evaluation process, and Part 5 reviews additional information and resources. Part 6 will allow time for answers to your questions. Now we will have our NIFA overview. The National Institute of Food and Agriculture, or NIFA, is the extramural science funding agency within USDA's research, education, and economics mission area, or REE. The agency invests in and supports initiatives that ensure the long-term viability of agriculture by administering more than 2,400 awards annually. In fiscal year 2023, the agency's budget was over $2 billion. NIFA provides funding and strategic leadership for programs that ensure groundbreaking discoveries in agriculture-related sciences and technologies to reach the people who can put them into practice. NIFA advances agriculture sciences by investing in research, extension, and education activities across the country in the areas of environmental systems and climate change, economic prosperity through bio-based innovation, education and equity in agricultural sciences, human sciences, food safety, human nutrition and nutritional security, sustainable agricultural production systems, and 4-H and positive youth development. Now, in terms of our program overview and its purposes and priorities, Mary seeks to support opportunities for targeted youth to have meaningful, positive youth development opportunities through established mentoring programs and/or expansion of target audiences for existing mentoring programs as part of the 4-H program. Targeted youth include juvenile justice involved youth, youth at risk of juvenile justice involvement, or rural youth. Now let's discuss who is eligible to apply for a Mary grant. Applications will only be accepted if submitted by Cooperative Extension at 1862, 1890, or 1994 land grant institutions. Award applicants may subcontract to organizations not eligible to apply, provided such organizations are necessary for the conduct of the project. Award submission and award limitations include the following, and this is to balance the geography, diversity. Multiple awards will not be made to the same organization, institution, or project director in the same fiscal year. Institutions may submit more than one application. However, project directors and co-project directors may only submit one application. NIFA will disqualify individuals. NIFA will disqualify individual applicants who submit more than one application. Now, in terms of our program area description, applicants applying for the $308,333 award must demonstrate how they will implement the Mary program components 1 through 7 listed on this slide. Applicants applying for the $58,333 award must demonstrate how they will implement Mary program components 1 through 8 listed on this slide. Project management is the first one. Mary projects must be supported by an appropriate team of university, extension, and community partner, faculty, and staff who will plan, manage, implement, and evaluate the project and integrate it into ongoing extension programs. Number 2, the Mary Project mentoring services and curriculum must be evidence-based with strategies that have been informed by evidence matrices or metrics and have a level of success that has been measured and documented. The transportation plan should consider services for youth who may need transportation to activities and events, as some youth may not have the means for reliable transportation. Mary projects are encouraged to integrate the OJJDP mentoring, training, technical assistance, and resources to bolster the mentoring model and trainings. The project evaluation plan must clearly explain the methodologies to be used in assessing the project's measurable outcomes and impacts. Each project director or PD is expected to participate in scheduled quarterly PD calls with NIFA staff. Number 7, marry project staff inclusive of the project director and co-project director, and at least 5 mentors from the project are required to attend the marry project director meeting in the Washington, D.C. area in the 3rd year of the project. One $358,333 award will be awarded to one grantee who will implement an evidence-based mentoring project and a marry project director meeting in the Washington, D.C. area. The award includes a maximum of $50,000 that can be used to plan a marry project director meeting for up to 75 participants in the 3rd year of the project, offering an opportunity for grantees to share project outcomes and impacts with NIFA and OJJDP staff. Project and grant types. Applicants must propose an extension project and must submit a regular or standard grant to be eligible for funding. You may notice regular indicated as the grant type in the RFA. The terminology standard and regular grant types are used interchangeably at NIFA. There are 2 types of funding opportunities offered through marry. The first is an evidence-based mentoring project implementation, and the second is an evidence-based mentoring project implementation and marry project director meeting implementation. The chart on this slide indicates details and maximum award amounts. There is no matching requirement for this program, and there is no competitive advantage for an applicant to provide a match. If your project is selected for funding, any match amount will be considered voluntary. I will now turn it over to Andrea.
Thanks, Benita. I'll cover the application details and documents. The total funding for FY24 for marry is approximately $1.9 million. NIFA anticipates making up to 6 marry program awards. The request for applications is 26 pages in length, and you can find the RFA on grants.gov by doing a keyword search in the upper right-hand corner of the page with the program code MRY or the funding opportunity number USDA-NIFA-EXCA-010874. Be sure to read and follow all guidelines in the request for applications and in the NIFA Grants Application Guide before submitting key documents. The next 7 slides will outline each of the key documents required in your application. The project summary or abstract must show how the project goals align with the program goals of the marry program. See Part 5 of the NIFA Grants Application Guide for instructions and suggested templates. The page limits and font sizes outlined here ensure fair and equitable competition. The project narrative must not exceed 12 pages of written text for regular projects and 15 pages of written text for projects who apply for the additional $50,000. Up to 15 additional pages can be included for figures and tables. Appendices to the project narrative are allowed if they are directly germane to the proposed project. Please include your logic model as part of the appendix. And please do not add appendices to circumvent the page limit. Any proposals that fail to comply with the required content and format will not be considered for funding. Material exceeding stated page limits and/or formatting structure will not be considered. And incomplete or non-compliant proposals will not be considered. The project narrative must include the following sections and headings: project management, approach and design, logic model, and if applicable, the PD meeting implementation. Applicants should include approximate start date of 10/1/2024 and an end date of 9/30/2027. The SciFar.org logic model builder must be used to provide a 3-year logic model for the Mary project. The SciFar specific logic model consists of 5 elements, including identified needs and assets, desired results, including short-term and long-term, indicators, both short-term and long-term, activities, and resources. Applicants must include the logic model as part of the appendix and also describe the logic model in the project narrative. Applications must contain annual budgets, a cumulative budget, and a budget narrative, also known as a budget justification. The budget narrative must include an itemized breakdown of all the support requested. Budgets should include any subawards, base annual salaries for key personnel, and travel costs to attend a PD meeting in year 3. Project activities that are unallowable direct costs under the Mary program include promotional giveaway items such as t-shirts, hats, tote bags, mugs, the construction of a building or a facility, breakfast before or dinner after a meeting, lunch during a meeting without a justification, alcoholic beverages or entertainment, any costs expended after the date of the award. Additionally, indirect costs are not to exceed 30% of the recipient's total federal funds awarded. A data management plan is required for the Mary program. Applicants should clearly articulate how the project director and co-project directors plan to manage and disseminate the data generated by the project. The data management plan will be considered during the merit review process. Land grant staff employed outside of the extension program should attach a letter of support from the University Cooperative Extension Director. Letters of commitment to the Mary project should include documentation regarding the commitment and the capacity regarding the specific role and responsibilities. Include, as appropriate, letters of support from each of the land grant types eligible for funding as subawardees, such as 1862, 1890, and 1994 institutions. Read the request for applications to make sure you're eligible to apply and to make sure you understand the instructions. If you determine your organization is eligible and wants to apply, follow the instructions in the RFA. Be sure to read and follow all instructions. Grants.gov is for all federal agencies. The NIFA Grants Application Guide includes NIFA-specific instructions and requirements that are just as important as the RFA. The Request for Applications, or RFA, is specific to the Mary program. All applications are due in grants.gov by 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on August 5th, 2024. Only electronic applications through grants.gov are accepted. Remember to submit in advance of the deadline. If you're having submission problems, be sure to get a case ID number from grants.gov. And make sure all attachments are submitted in a PDF format and not password protected. Grants.gov will not check for this, so you must check. Be sure to check the grants.gov manifest for errors, and you can see the instructions in the NIFA grants.gov application guide for this. You may correct any errors and resubmit through grants.gov up to the deadline. We will accept the latest valid application received before the deadline. Now I will turn it over to Janaya.
Thank you, Andrea. I will cover the application evaluation process. Next slide, please. NIFA evaluates each application in a two-part process. First, we screen each application to ensure that it meets the administrative requirements set forth in this RFA, also known as Request for Application. All administrative requirements must be met in order for the application to proceed to the next level of review. Second, a scientific peer review process will be used to technically evaluate applications that have met the administrative requirements using a review panel. After each peer review panel has completed its deliberations, the NIFA program staff will recommend that your project is either approved for support from currently available funds or decline due to insufficient funds or unfavorable review. NIFA reserves the right to negotiate with the project director and/or the submitting institution regarding project revisions such as reductions in the scope of work, funding level, period, or method of support prior to recommending any project for funding. After the review process has been completed, NIFA sends copies of reviews, not including the identity of reviewers, and a summary, if applicable, of the review panel comments to the project directors. Next slide, please. Next, we have evaluation criteria. The competitive review process is designed to be fair and unbiased. The peer review panel will be comprised of individuals representing diverse backgrounds with relevant training, expertise, and experience. Evaluation criteria are the only basis for peer review, and only information in the application is evaluated. The following criteria will be used to evaluate applications. First, we have project management. This criterion relates to the institution's capability to perform the project and fulfill associated reporting requirements. Next, we have approach and design. This criterion relates to the likelihood that the project will successfully reduce risk factors and change the life trajectory of juvenile justice-involved youth, youth at risk of juvenile justice involvement, and/or rural youth. Applicants applying for the additional $50,000 will be evaluated on the likelihood that the project will be successfully implemented. Last, we have data collection and reporting. This criterion relates to the soundness of the proposed approach, including objectives, methodology, plan of operation, timetable, expected products and results, evaluation, and dissemination plans. Slide, please. Funding, priority, and preference. Funding preference will be given to applicants that propose engagement with 1890, 1994, Hispanic serving institutions, and EPSCoR states as sub-awardees. Higher funding preference will be given to 1890, 1994, and Hispanic serving institutions who apply as lead applicants. Here, I will go over the timeline of competitive programs. So this slide includes the average timeline for NIFA's competitive programs. For the MARY program specifically, the request for applications was published on July 2nd, 2024. Applications are due by 5 p.m. Eastern on August 5th, 2024 in grants.gov. On average, a competitive program takes about 3 to 5 months from the proposal due date to an award being made to an institution. We will keep you updated as much as possible, and we appreciate your patience. Now I will hand it back over to Dr. Benita Williams, who will give you some additional information.
Thank you so very much, Janaya. Now I'm going to share information with you concerning use of NIFA's reporting portal to find funded awards. You can use the NIFA reporting portal to find previously funded awards by NIFA. However, since Mary is a brand new program, you will not find any previously awarded Mary projects. This slide contains links you can use to view upcoming NIFA events and RFA releases on NIFA's website. We encourage all applicants to review the information provided in these grant resources before applying. If you're interested in serving as a NIFA panelist, please complete the volunteer panelist survey to be considered. The link to the survey can be found on the last resource listed on this slide. Now we will answer your question about the Mary program. Please submit your questions using the Q&A Zoom feature.